research. Christopher's like, I don't even know what this place looks like.
You know
I have
what?
no expectations.
Okay. What is the one trip that I planned?
Peru.
And what is our top trip?
Okay. I just want to point out that Peru just was that epic of a place.
Thank you.
Okay, that's not on you. Hello and welcome to the Worldwide Honeymoon Travel Podcast, the podcast that talks about all things couples travel, including destinations, tips, advice, and more. I'm Kat.
I'm Chris.
And this is episode number 220.
Back in the studio.
Back in the studio, aka the guest bedroom.
Slash office.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm already in vacation mode again.
When are you not in vacation
Are you kidding
mode?
me? We haven't gone anywhere for like several months, like 4 months until I went to France.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got back.
Yeah, and I went to an event earlier this week put on by the Discover Puerto Rico people.
I found out I was not media.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was media only, so Christopher ordered food at home on his own, and but it was great. I went to an event with tons of Puerto Rican food and music, and we learned all about the history of the pina colada. And I'm really excited because I'm actually going to Puerto Rico next week, in just like 5 days from now, and I am so excited. So I'm pumped for that.
There's a few. Hold on. You can't just go past that. There's a few bones I have to pick with this trip.
Oh.
Number one, Kat and I have a long-standing joke between the two of us that when there is the opportunity to do like a surf lesson, I have surfed once in my life.
Yeah.
Not very long. It was literally like we checked out of the hotel. I went surfing with my cousin. And the whole time my dad was like, we got to get to the airport. This is not the thing to be doing before getting to the airport. So it wasn't a relaxing.
That checks.
It wasn't a relaxing surfing trip for yours truly.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
In Costa Rica, I was like, hey, do you want to do a surf lesson? And
I said we could have done it.
Yeah, but then we would have had to like not do something else. And I knew that there were other things that you wanted to do.
You wanted to do them too. Okay.
So consequently, Kat and I have never, it was Costa Rica, there was Belize, there was Thailand, but we would have had to go a little bit further. There have been opportunities to surf, and we have never gotten to do it. What are you doing in Puerto Rico?
It's a press trip.
I know it is.
How am I saying? I can't be like, no, thank you. Because I never have surfed with my husband. I cannot surf on this trip.
Oh, and I would never expect you to do that.
Yeah.
I just find it incredibly ironic that you are going to be surfing. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. This is what I've been trying to do ever since I was rushed during my last surfing trip because I had to get to the airport.
Where was this?
Virginia Beach.
Oh, I thought you took like a lesson when you were in Hawaii with your parents. Way back when.
I'm sorry. If you thought for a second that we were going past that rock wall, 0% chance that was happening.
Okay, that makes sense.
Those are shark-infested waters.
But Virginia Beach, is it?
I don't think all of us went in the water.
Okay.
I think I was just laying my life on the line there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm working with Discover Puerto Rico, and I'm going to the Women in Travel Summit, and that's going to be in San Juan this year, so I'm very excited. And I'm going ahead of time to see the island of Vieques and go to, I think it's Mosquito Bay, which is one of the bioluminescent bays. I'm doing that on my own because I'm traveling Puerto Rico for like 10 days. I'm doing a pretty extensive, and a lot of it is like I wanted to see a lot of the island because I want to write a honeymoon guide to Puerto Rico.
This is going to be such an epic trip.
Yeah, so I'm going to Vieques. I'm taking a kayak/snorkel tour during the day. I'm doing an evening kayaking the clear bottom kayak. Bioluminescent bay thing. And you can't swim in that. So I am going to be kayaking that. And then the sponsored trip, I just got the itinerary and it was very exciting. I think that there's going to be surfing. There's going to be some kayaking, and then there's going to be
casual tone. There's going to be surfing,
and then we're going to another bioluminescent bay because Puerto Rico has 3 bioluminescent bays, and this is the one you can swim in. Because it's a beaches and mountains trip, I believe, and I'm very excited about it. And I'm also going to go take a day trip to the El Yunque rainforest as well while I'm there. But that's just on my own. Like, I'm going several days before the sponsor trip even starts to do my own research and things. And then the conference is happening. So a lot of exciting things. I'm going to be really excited to talk about it and write about it when I get back. But
this is going to be awesome. But
then after that, we have 5 days at home. And then we leave for South Africa.
Yeah, like you're going to be traveling a ton coming up.
It's been chaos, yeah.
One of my coworkers who also is a traveler, he was describing Puerto Rico to me because he was like, I always want kind of like the grunge and the bustle of a city, but I also want like that laid back atmosphere of a beach. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I have never gotten it other than in San Juan.
Yeah, because if you go to New York, you don't have the beach vibes.
Right.
And then, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
He has built up San Juan in my mind so much.
I'm excited because I'm gonna stay in Old San Juan the first couple of days, and then the conference is at the Hilton Caribe, which I guess is a pretty historic hotel, but it's not in the old city. It's
Caribe,
but it's not. Christopher, you know I don't speak.
Caribe.
I know this is something I'm nervous about because I go to France a lot and I feel comfortable with that because I speak French pretty okay and and things like that. And usually when we go to Spanish-speaking countries, we go together, which is really helpful because you speak Spanish pretty okay. And so now I'm going,
yes.
And the only Spanish I really know is kind of what you sort of pick up on living in the U.S. Like you pick up on some Spanish.
Like what?
Like hello.
Okay.
Don't test
Hello
me.
is no. Hello is good.
Yeah.
Hello is good. Goodbye is good.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Please.
Por favor.
There you go.
There's a couple things that you like pick up on, just like
you're going to be absolutely fine.
Being in the U.S., you know what I mean? Because Spanish is like pretty. I mean, there's a lot of Spanish speakers in the U.S.
You know what you should do this week?
What?
You should do Duolingo in Spanish. Just for this week.
I remember I converted it over. So I have French. And then I have for whatever reason, I wanted to learn Scottish Gaelic for a little bit. And I tried that and it is really hard. And I haven't really done that, but it's still on my thing as like a language that I'm learning. So yeah, I could probably try.
Do Spanish for a little bit.
I mean, I could do like some stuff in Spanish because again, like you learn a little bit of it. Like
even so too,
yeah.
Like when you're surrounded by it too, you'll start to pick up on little things, you know?
Well, and also it's a Latin or it's like a Romance language.
Romance language.
So like there's a lot of the time that like the words will look similar to French words. They are not pronounced the same, but if I see it written down, I can be like, oh, well, like corn is maize, you know, or
here, yeah. So this is something that I have failed to grasp in French Duolingo.
Okay.
Is the amount of times that they'll be like, say this sentence. Mm-hmm. And I say it, and Falstaff the bear is just looking at me with like, and they're not lighting up any words. Like, you have hit 0 of 7, sir. And I'm like, intéressant. And it's like 0.
Oh, yeah, because you're rolling your R's.
And it is terrible. It's like you haven't pronounced. And then, you know what's even worse is when you say it like 3 times over, and they say,
we'll try again later.
They say, is your microphone on? It's terrible.
Your comprehension is very good. Christopher is really, I think you're very gifted at languages. This is what, the 4th language that you're trying to learn now?
4th?
Well, English, Spanish. You took Japanese in college.
I did, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I also did Italian before our Italy trip.
Yeah, and you did pretty well with that.
Which was also pretty cool.
Which Italian and Spanish, there's a lot of overlap.
Very similar.
So I think that one was a little bit easier for you. But Christopher is like very talented with languages. Like even just French stuff, he will pick up on things pretty quickly. Even if the listening and the listening and the speaking part's a little bit fuzzy, but like the reading and writing part, you've really done well with.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Well, I'll say one more thing about this Puerto Rico trip.
Okay.
We've talked about this before on this podcast that we have like quite a few different travel coffee table books, for lack of a better phrase. And I was reading through the things that are like the big things to do in Puerto Rico. You are checking off all of them. 3 for 3. No reason to go back. And here I am sitting like a bum and I'm just waiting to go to Puerto Rico.
Well, I'm not going to the center of the island. Like, there's a lot I'm not seeing for sure.
Oh, no, I know.
There's another bioluminescent bay. Definitely reasons to go back.
Not according to the coffee table book.
Coffee table book says
Coffee
I'm
table
done.
book, yeah.
But I'm really glad I'm getting such a good, I guess, like, breadth of, like, the destination because I'm planning to write about it and write a honeymoon guide.
In all seriousness, I think you're going to crush this trip.
And I really...
I'm so excited
about it, too, because, well, it's a great opportunity to begin with.
Yeah.
To work with Discover Puerto Rico, but it's also really cool to, to see so much of the island because I think it's a great place. It's a cool destination that if you want to go to the Caribbean, but you don't necessarily want to get out your passport or get a passport, it's a cool place to go because it's part of the U.S., so you don't need your passport.
I'm looking to retire my passport, so this is a perfect destination.
No, you're not.
All right. Anything else you want to say about Puerto Rico other than the fact that, like, I'm insanely jealous of this?
And
You're
then-
going to come back. You're going to be...
And your favorite cocktail, your favorite Caribbean drink
The pina colada.
was made in Puerto Rico.
This could not be worse circumstances for me. You are going to be surfing, drinking pina coladas, and I am going to be experiencing what I have no doubt in my mind is going to be one last, like, 20-degree blizzard that comes through Cleveland until we are in summer. All right. What was your highlight from this past week?
I would say probably the Discover Puerto Rico event, just because it was
Sounded pretty cool.
really fun, and I didn't know who all was going to be there, and then it turned out all of my other travel blogging friends were there, which was fun. Good food, good music. It was a good time. What about you?
Unbelievable. Well, if you cannot hear, it sounds like I have a clothespin on my nose. I have been battling a bit of a bug this past week.
Yeah. I've just been waiting to catch it too, and knock on wood.
You've been killing it.
I've been okay. But we'll see.
My highlight, I mean, I will say last night playing Parcheesi was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just had a good time.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we were listening to our boy,
Eddie Kenzo.
Eddie Kenzo.
Yeah. We were listening to, well, originally it was like South African music to get ready for South Africa, but we really love Eddie Kenzo, and he's a Ugandan singer. Yeah, singer. But he's very talented, and we found him when we were, like, researching Uganda and, like, culture and different things, and so we were like, let's play Eddie Kenzo. We, like, listened to one of his whole albums. It's so good.
The man is fire.
Yeah, you can find him on
man
Pandora,
is
Spotify,
fire.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my highlight.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So today's episode. In each of our destination guides, we will always start with what?
Thoughts prior to arrival.
Exactly. And normally that's just based upon research, right? Like, that's us messaging, whether it's like the tour company or the lodge, or like just doing like an insane amount of research on other travel blogs or YouTube or what
I
have
do
you.
the research. Christopher's like, I don't even know what this place looks like.
You know
I have
what?
no expectations.
Okay. What is the one trip that I planned?
Peru.
And what is our top trip?
Okay.
I'm going out on top. But getting back to this, on a return trip, you have a more concrete idea.
I just want to point out that Peru just was that epic of a place.
Thank you.
Okay, that's not on you. But thank you for planning it.
Okay. I'm gonna milk that one.
Yeah.
On a return trip, you have more concrete thoughts prior to arrival, right? Because you can picture yourself back in that place. It's not just like pictures online or Instagram or what have you, but it's actual experiences that you had. And our second thing that we do after thoughts prior to arrival is what?
First impressions.
So those are likely to be romanticized a bit on a return trip, right? So this summer, we are going to be returning to South Africa with your folks. And we were looking at photos from our trip to South Africa in 2017.
Yep. It's before the cameras. Like
What do you
before
mean before cameras?
No, before we got like our
We
nice.
had a camera.
Yeah, but we had like a little like before we got like the nice camera and like photo editing.
Whoa!
And like it was before all of that.
This was at the advent of Worldwide Honeymoon.
Yes, I had just started Worldwide Honeymoon. I think the same month we went to South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were looking through these photos and we were freaking excited. Right?
We took photos of everything.
Everything.
We were so yeah.
I have photos of flowers that only remind me of my father. He would remember the old camcorders?
Yes.
There are so many home videos where he has the camcorder and he's zooming in on a flower and he'll be like, white geranium. And that's, but we were flipping through our album and we had so many freaking pictures of flowers.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it is full circle. We had a picture of like a little tiny statue that was in the garden at the very first hotel that we stayed at. We had a picture of everything.
Well, okay, to provide a little context, this was our first really big trip we ever did together.
Yes.
And it was the furthest we had ever traveled from home at this point. We're thinking 2017, it's kind of the trip that sort of started it for us, for Worldwide Honeymoon.
Yeah, so
yeah.
To give a little context, you had been out of the country. You had been to Europe. I had never been out of the country but for a cruise that stopped in the Caymans in Mexico and a trip to Canada.
To see Niagara Falls, yeah.
Yes. So, London Heathrow, my favorite airport.
Pilots? Oh, we're not stopping there. We have a direct flight from
I know.
New York.
I know. But
so mom and dad, my parents that are coming with us this time, will never get to experience the mediocrity.
This was the mediocrity. London, this was my first
pilots.
This was
London
my first
Heathrow
date.
Airport.
My first date with London Heathrow was back in 2017.
Oh my gosh, remember? Okay, guys, this has nothing to do with the story really, except for it was in London Heathrow. And remember the guy, I was trying to do a currency exchange or something with him.
I do remember this.
And he was like, yes, it's a charge card or whatever, like a debit card situation. And I was trying to ask him if it would work in South Africa. I don't know what I was trying to ask him, but I understood what he meant by it being sort of a debit card thing or bank card. And he was like, dude, and he was being so snarky.
Do you understand how a debit card works?
Oh my gosh. I was like, yes, I understand. Okay.
All you have to do is swipe it.
It's
like a gift card.
We cracked up about this for a long time, but at the time I was like, yes, I freaking know what this is. I'm trying to ask if it works and not here. You know what I mean? Will it work in South Africa?
Will it work once I leave your premises, sir?
Yeah, will it work when I'm no longer in the United Kingdom?
As long as you swipe it. Anyway.
And will it charge fees too?
Right.
That's I had those questions and he was being so snarky with me and I was like, I am done with you.
So we are pumped for this trip, right? We were so excited. We took pictures of everything. So the question is, on this return trip, are we setting ourselves up for disappointment? Are our expectations too high? How do you go about returning to a destination that had such a profound impact on you? Let's say, for us, it was 6 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. It also had a broader impact, I will say, on my life because it really kind of opened up the entire world to travel for me.
Yeah.
Let's discuss.
Yeah, and like I said before, with South Africa, the first time we were newly engaged. We had just been engaged. We got engaged in May of that year. It was our furthest we've traveled from home. So I feel like there was a lot of excitement from that to begin with. And
Absolutely.
We've been planning that trip for a long time.
Yeah.
Before we got engaged, obviously.
Yeah.
And there was so much buildup for it and we were so excited. Do I feel like we're going to have that same thing going back? I don't think...
hold on.
Yeah.
That may be one of the questions.
Oh, okay. I thought we were discussing.
We are.
Okay.
But I also came up with some questions for us to discuss.
Okay.
Some bullet points.
Gotcha. I thought we were just discussing it right now.
Oh, no.
It's an open response.
This is an extended response.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good context to reiterate because it is kind of you've been there before, you're going back. Mm-hmm. Right? But this was a lot bigger for us. So the first question is, and I can go first on these since I kind of like came up with this. The first question is, what was your approach to including familiar sights, right? Experiences that you've had before. And would it have been different if it were just us and we were not going with your parents?
That's a good point, because we're going because my parents have never been either, and they're very excited to go. It's on their bucket list to go on a safari and to see Cape Town and all of that stuff. So we're kind of doing similar things. We're staying at the same place we stayed at in Johannesburg, and then we're flying to Simbavati, and we're going there for a few days.
Which we did last time.
Yes. And then eventually we are going to go to Cape Town and spend some time in the winelands. In some ways it's very similar, but in other ways it's not. We are doing 2 full days in the winelands. We're going to take the wine tram one day, do a private tour the next. We're going to Blyde River Canyon, which is something we haven't done. And we're also going to Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
And doing some things there for a couple of days before flying home. But I will say that Simbavati I would definitely have gone to regardless. And I did want to spend more time in the winelands, but I know that if it were just us, we probably would have skipped the Cape of Good Hope tour since we've already done that.
Okay.
And like, you're going to do the shark cage thing with my dad. I'm doing the whale watching with my mom.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't do that. I know originally we were thinking about doing the garden route and driving, like having a driver and going along the garden route and making stops. And then we'd also sort of talked about, is it Drakensberg Amphitheater?
Yes.
Or Drakensberg Amphitheater. A couple things in South Africa. Zimbabwe wasn't even on our radar until my dad was like, hey, while we're in that area, is it possible to go see Victoria Falls?
This was one of the coolest things for me because it was a flashback to when we went to the European Christmas markets with my family. When my dad was like, hey, if no one else would mind, I remember seeing the Spanish riding school like on a documentary as a kid, and I'd really enjoy going to that if that was okay with everyone. And we were like, yes. Yes. And your dad had the same thing with Victoria Falls. He was like, hey, so I've read about this. I've seen it. I would love to go if that's okay. And we're like, yes, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep the ideas flowing.
And I do think that some of the things that we're planning to do is because my parents are going for the first time. But while I don't think we're going to be as excited, because I think that was such an eye-opening, exciting adventure that we had never had before.
Those same flowers better be there.
Hopefully. But I think we had such a cool adventure that first time, and it was such a cool first experience, an eye-opening experience for both of us to the world of travel. No, we're not going to have that exact experience again, but I'm really excited to see my parents experience that for the first time. 100%. I think that's why I'm very, very excited for this trip, is to see, this is the furthest they've ever traveled from home, and this is their biggest trip. Like they've gone to Europe a couple times now, but they've never been to Africa or South Africa or anything like that. So I'm really excited for them to see it. And I'm excited for the new things we're going to do too. Right. Yeah. So when I was kind of thinking about this, my approach to including familiar sites, I'm a little nervous. I'll be honest with you. I know. This is how we've been on last year when we went to Uganda and Kenya. We did 2 safaris. Yeah. We went to Uganda. We've been to South Africa. We're going to the exact same place we went last time. We've been to Queen Elizabeth National Park and did safari there. And then we went to the Masai Mara, which was epic. It's very much what you picture for a safari destination. I still am very excited to go to South Africa and go back to up near Kruger. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Because it was a lot of fun. And we saw the Big Five many times over there, which we did not see in the Masai Mara. No. But the reason that I said that I was a little nervous is there are those 5 words that are haunting me. You can never go back. Right? Yeah. You can't drive past your childhood home. Mm-hmm. That tree's going to be gone. Or there's a house next door or something. They've painted it, something like that, right? But have you ever looked at it like you can never go back and that's okay? That's a good thing? So that's the thing, right? I am nervous because I have the most magical memories of South Africa. Yeah. For all of the reasons that we've stated up until now. I know that you can never go back, but
I'm kind of chuckling about my inexperience when I traveled. And that's
Yeah.
no fault to me, right? Like it was just my first time, like really outside of, I mean, it was my first time outside of the continent. It was my first extended time outside of the country. I remember seeing the Big Five on safari, and I was like, yeah, I mean, that's what you do, right? Like you go on safari and you see the Big Five because that's why they're called the Big Five.
Yeah.
The fact that we have taken additional safaris, have not seen the Big Five, I think it kind of puts that in perspective, right? That it's not Disney World, it's not Disneyland.
Yeah. Animals, the wild animals are wild animals. They
Right.
just kind of do what they want, and they might be there, they might not be.
Yeah, exactly. So my approach to including familiar sites, would it be different if it were just us? I definitely wanted to re-experience some things, 100%. But I also didn't want to have the same trip. So I'm really happy that we're including some different things, but I'm also happy that we're getting to re-experience some
I also
things.
want to point out that we went in September of 2017, and it was at the end of dry season. So the
Yes.
river was completely dry. We're going in May, which is the beginning of the dry season.
It's going to be awesome.
Or / beginning of winter there.
Yeah.
And there might still be some greenery. The river might still be there. So we're going to see different things. It's going to be a little bit different. Just like I want to point out that there's quite a few places that I've been to before that I've gone to again, either with you or even with your family. When we went to the Christmas markets,
Vienna is
I
a
remember,
perfect example
yeah,
of this.
exactly. So you can never go back. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, because my experience in Vienna the first time around,
Maybe it sucked.
it was rainy. It didn't suck, but I just wasn't impressed. It was
Sure.
rainy. It was early June. It was kind of chilly. I was all by myself in a hostel, and I didn't stay in a right kind of hostel because I just I did not meet very many people, and I felt kind of alone on there at that time. And yeah, it really didn't wow me that much. And then I went with your family around the holiday season, and oh my goodness, we did so much more stuff. I was more prepared this time than the first time when I just kind of showed up and was like, all right, Vienna's a city you go to. What do you do here? Now I have more context.
Yeah.
But going back with you guys and like going for the Christmas markets versus in the summertime and doing more things like the Lipizzaner Stallions, going to the Schönbrunn Palace, like all of that stuff really made it a lot more fun.
I mean, it's like, just to like kind of pull from last weekend's experience, imagine that your only time in Kentucky is like in the dead of winter.
Yeah.
Or imagine that your only time in Kentucky is for the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, it's very experiential. So yeah. Second question. What are some benefits to going back? And I can kick this one off since you kicked
Sure.
the last one off. I think the big benefit to going back, especially in this specific context, going with your parents, is that we have a baseline, right? We know what to expect from certain stops along the way. Like you mentioned, the Cape of Good Hope tour. We know what's going to be happening there. Cannot wait to go to Boulders Beach and see those penguins again. So there's just like a certain advantage to that, right? I'm also really, really excited to experience things as a new person and through a new lens. I think that is going to be incredibly beneficial, right? Because like we're very blessed to have like visited a whole bunch of places. And to go back, I think with that context is going to be it's going to change how we view it.
Well, and it's also kind of like you're like, oh, if I could go back knowing what I know now.
Yeah, I mean, there's that song, like, I wish
Yeah.
that I knew what I know, or hold on, I wish that I knew what I know now when I was younger.
Yeah. And yeah, so I'm an example I'll use also is Paris too. It's just, will I ever go back to my first experience in Paris and the first time seeing it in the spring? No, but I also fall more in love with it every time I go and experience new things, as well as old familiar things. But yeah, we've changed. I mean, the place may still be the same, but we've changed. And I think that's really interesting to go from a different perspective of like, we're not the same as we were at that point.
Yeah,
like
not
we've
at
grown
all.
up, we've traveled more, we've had more life experience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Older.
We're older, you know? So it is interesting to see what it's going to be like as people that are 6 years older. We've been married for 5 years now versus being newly engaged. We've gone through this pandemic together. We didn't know if we'd ever go back to South Africa. We actually promised ourselves that we would around our 5th year anniversary because of the wine. So I'm actually really excited we're doing this.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. So we, at our wedding, we had a time capsule, for lack of a better phrase. And within the time capsule, we put our invitation, we put our save the date, we put our vows, and we each wrote a note to each other. And we did not bury it like a traditional time capsule. It is actually sitting out in our living room. But it's a box that we have not opened, and we have a bottle of wine from Annandale Vineyards in South Africa. We bought a 6-pack, or not a 6-pack. Yeah, a 6-pack, maybe? What is it called?
A half dozen.
Half case. But we said, like, it was, like you're kind of gleaning from this, it was such a transformative experience that we were like, look, we are going to come back when this half case is done. And it's really, really special to be able to go back, right?
That's our last Annandale, isn't it?
It is our last Annandale.
Man, time flies.
Time does fly.
I can't believe we're already almost 5 years married.
The other thing that I put down for this is that one of the things I'm really, really looking forward to is that I think I'm going to spend more time experiencing and less time documenting. And I know that may be different for the two of us because at the end of the day, it is work for you.
You were the camera taker last time. You took all the photos last time.
I did.
And now I have my nice camera and the telephoto lens, so I will definitely be taking photos.
I'm still on video duty.
And good. Thank goodness, because I can't do it all. I mean, I guess I could, but I don't really want to because I want to enjoy it.
But no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and not necessarily on safari, but like on the Cape of Good Hope tour or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like we have a picture in front of...
Yeah, I mean, the photos aren't great. Like, I think for our own memories, we don't necessarily need to take a ton.
Right.
But, I mean, I still need to update photos.
Work gotta work.
Work gotta work.
Work gotta work.
My photography skills have immensely improved since the last time we went to South Africa.
But I think that is something that I'm looking forward to is like, I've seen it once, right? The lens has seen it once, and I get to see it again. And it's kind of cool, too. I mean, I know that there's... like whether it's on Reddit or wherever, but there's like, we were here like 40 years ago, right? And there's those pictures like 40 years ago. And now obviously this is not 40 years ago. But maybe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to just kind of like soaking it up more.
Yeah.
I think it'll be pretty sweet.
Do you think it's a bit like the metaphor of us climbing Table Mountain the first time going back, being a little ill prepared? Actually, we were fine because we went through a company, but...
I will never forget that.
But that was quite an adventure. We are not doing that this time because we have my parents with me and their knees, their backs, etc., etc. Like, we're not hiking up Table Mountain. But we did the first time we went, and it turned out to be... First of all, I thought it was going to be cold when you get to the top, right? Like, isn't there something in Hawaii that, like, it's hot and sunny down below, and then you get to the top and it's, like, cold?
Could be.
It's in Oahu. I don't like in Honolulu or something. And people talk about, bring like a sweater because it gets cold when you get to the top. And I was like, that's probably what's going to happen here. So I'm going to wear warmer clothes and pack a jacket, even though it's warm. And it was sunny. And it was a beautiful day.
Baked.
But we were baking and we got to the top and we were still baking. And I was like, why did I bring all of this stuff? We also only brought 16 ounces of water for the two of us. And that was not enough water.
I literally remember the ranger.
He should have been like, absolutely not. You need more water.
Before the entrance, he turned to us and he said, do you have water?
Water. And we were like, yeah, we have this bottle.
Yeah. And we held it up, 16 ounces between the two of us. And I remember like walking a few paces and turning to Kat, and I was like, I run half marathons.
No, we both were like, oh yeah, we run for like 2 hours sometimes, not a lot of water.
We run.
And we were immediately humbled.
I had never run on a trail before.
Halfway through, when we completely ran out of water and it was hot and we were getting dehydrated very quickly, and a very, very nice Good Samaritan had extra water and he gave it to us, which we promptly guzzled, was able to get us up to the top of the mountain, where we promptly ran to the snack shop to buy snacks that
like
we didn't
animals.
bring and water and Gatorade.
I believe I wrote a manifesto
I think you did.
about the time where I was licking water off the side of a
Almost
mountain.
did. Yeah. And I was like, don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't know what that is.
All right. Number 3. Was it ever an option to not repeat anything? Not in the broader sense, but like, okay, we know that your folks want to go on safari, right? Mm-hmm. Was it ever an option to not go back to Simbavati? You know that they want to go to Cape Town. Mm-hmm. Was it ever an option to not go back to those wineries, despite the promises that we've made to Annandale?
I mean, Annandale's really the only one that I was like, oh, we need to go back to.
Okay. Talk about safari, though. Like, was it ever an option to not go back?
Even if it was just the two of us, I feel like we would have at least gone for a couple of days to Simbavati. We really enjoyed it. And then I probably would have done like a different part of the park, but
Sabi Sands
yeah. But like, I feel like I was going to 100% go back to Simbavati regardless.
I mean, yeah. Simbavati is incredible.
Kind of set the standard of like safaris for us, even though like there's many ways to go on safari, including camping, like actual camping, not glamping. And I remember when we started planning our Uganda, Kenya trip, we were like, oh, well, like, because the company that we use is based out of Cape Town. I was like, yeah, you know, like Simbavati River Lodge. We really liked that. That's what we did last time. And they were like, I'm going to stop you right there. So they have like in South Africa, you actually get pretty good accommodation for your money when it comes to safaris. And places like Tanzania, where we originally were going to go to after Uganda, is significantly more expensive for the same type of accommodations. And they were like, you need to either increase your budget or decrease your expectations a little bit. And we altered, but honestly, it was still great. Like, it wasn't like Simbavati standard for like Ishasha Wilderness Lodge, but it was rustic and also very lovely. So
it was the nicest way possible that they said that you cannot afford this.
Yes. Yes.
It was very much like I felt them reaching across the Atlantic, patting me on the head and going like, "Oh, honey, no, you can't do this. You cannot do this."
So it's nice to go back and to have luxurious accommodations again that we can afford.
It is. Yeah. I will also say that I loved Ishasha. That is still... It was
more rustic, but it was honestly really cool. Like the bush shower where they fill it up with hot water and then you take your shower instead of constant running water.
I will say that
the bug cup, not always great.
Ishasha is my favorite safari lodge we've stayed at today.
Really? And that's the most rustic?
Yeah,
straight up. When I tell you that it was just canvas for half of it and then screen for the other half of it, like the top part, yeah, I mean, luckily we had bug nets, which was good, but like, oh my gosh.
So pumped.
I can't tell you how much I woke up in the middle of the night to all these critter sounds, and I'm like, oh great, like literally a screen is what is keeping me from being like, from them coming into this tent. But it was also amazing and fantastic.
But what about like some of the stuff in Cape Town, right? Like we've been to Cape Town before. We've been to Franschhoek and Stellenbosch before. Mm-hmm. Was it ever an option to not repeat anything there?
Yeah, I mean, I know that we had gone to like a castle or like the fort in Cape Town. We went to the Natural History Museum in Cape Town because we did a day tour, and I wouldn't do those necessarily again. At least not as a tour.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Let me ask the question this way: if we were going back to Cape Town, just the two of us. Mm-hmm. Would we be going shark cage diving, doing the Cape of Good Hope tour, doing anything, or would it be a completely different Cape Town trip?
It would be different, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would probably use those days to stay in Cape Town or at least two full days in Cape Town and just explore Cape Town, because we did the Cape of Good Hope and Builders Beach.
But at the same time, you want to go back to the Old Biscuit Mill.
Yeah, I do want to go.
We've been to the Old Biscuit Mill, not on a market day.
Yeah.
But we've been there.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that familiarity, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I wanted to go up like Table Mountain, maybe do Lion's Head. Like I was going to add on different things, but yeah, I feel like I still wanted to go back to Cape Town. I wasn't going to be like, let's bypass it completely and do something else.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So when I was kind of thinking about this, I said, was it ever an option to not repeat anything? I mean, this is a contradictory sentence, but I wrote down yes, but it would be tough. Right? So like the way that I was approaching it is, would you go home without telling your family and friends? Like, would you visit a city where you had family or friends living there and not tell them?
Unless if it's like I'm extremely busy with like work and stuff, because I've visited Paris.
Well,
and I've got
I
friends
understand
there,
that.
and I'm like, hey, like, sorry, this is a really short trip. Like, it's pretty jam packed.
You have 4 days there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to go back and you're not going to let family or friends know that you're in town.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I was approaching it, right? Is that we have 4 days. I guarantee you there's going to be something that we repeat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be like some of the most amazing meals of our life,
mm-hmm.
Whether it be just like a pretty killer cocktail.
Yeah.
Like the best cup of coffee. I cannot tell you how excited I am about that.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, it was never an option to not repeat anything. Like, I would not go back to Peru, for instance, and not go to anything if I were going to the same places, right? Like, if we were going to Cusco, I would not say, all right, like, I've seen this part of Cusco, I'm going to go back. Mm-hmm. Or, like, I'm not going to go back to, like, these restaurants or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I just wouldn't do that. I don't know. Question 4.
Okay.
What repeat experiences are you most looking forward to, and how will it differ? Limit it to 1 or 2.
With South Africa?
Yes. So the repeat experience that you know that we're going to have, how is it going to differ? And then why are you looking forward to it?
The repeat experience I'm most looking forward to is going on safari with Simbavati. I've been dreaming of that since we started booking it. Was going back, staying in the tents again, the dinners outside under the stars, getting a massage again, fantastic. Always look forward to that. But also just the game drives. I think that they were so much fun. It's an open top vehicle. You get very close to the animals. I'm very excited to see what all we can see, because I will say that the big difference between the Masai Mara and the Tempavati Game Reserve where we were is that it's much smaller. So like the Masai Mara, you have all of these guides sort of talking to each other in walkie-talkies, and they're like, hey, I saw a cheetah. If you want to see a cheetah, come here. This is, while they do that, there's a lot less of them. So like you kind of just go out on a game drive and you're like, all right, we'll see what we can see today. And like they might ask you like, what do you hope to see today? And they'll say like, okay, we'll keep our eyes and ears open, but like there's no promises again. But for the most part, it was very exciting to hop into the vehicle because we had no idea what we were going to see, versus when we were in the Masai Mara, we would be like, oh, I'd really love to see a pride of lions today. And he's like, okay, well, I know where they pretty much hang out, and like I'll phone it in with other people and figure it out. Again, we didn't see like a rhinoceros, even though we went to the rhino area.
Hours.
Yeah, we spent like a whole game drive just searching this area that's known for having rhinos, and we didn't see them. So it's not like it's 100%, they're still wild animals, but I'm excited to kind of go along the paths, because we saw all of the Timbavati we spent 4 days there.
We did, yeah.
So I'm really excited to go back to, see what all's changed, what it looks like this time of year. My parents' reaction to being on safari for the first time.
Cannot wait for
their first safari sunset. Amazing. And then, I'm mostly looking forward to their reactions. I think that's really fun because I love showing other people like travel and like, getting their reactions out of it. But yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to that, but also re-experiencing safari where we hop in that vehicle and we don't know what we're going to see, but we're hoping to see what we can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to piggyback off that, like I remember our very first game drive, right? Like we had already driven from Hudsport Airport
Yeah.
to Simbavati, and we saw
3 of the big 5.
3
We saw leopard,
elephant,
elephant.
and I think that was it, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. I can't remember if we...
2 of the
No,
big
we
5.
didn't see a lion yet. And we definitely
Right.
didn't see a rhino or
We
Cape
saw
buffalo.
Antima,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the female leopardesses. Is that a female? Yeah, leopardesses.
They kind of get to know them after a while, so because there's so few leopards.
And then we saw a herd of elephants, which was just like epic. And like to go back to something I said at the top of the episode, like I was just like, okay, this is typical. That is not typical.
No.
And like a little bit more appreciation for that now. My repeat experience that I am most looking forward to, this may be a surprise, shark cage diving.
Really?
Yes. Most looking forward to that. How will it differ? Your boy needs a redo.
That's true. You got very, very ill after your cage diving experience. I'm not doing that. Mom was like, I'm good. I don't need to do that. And we're
big mistake by your
we're
mom.
just going to go whale watching instead, which I'm really excited about because I can't remember if it's southern right whale season, but I think it might be. So I'm very excited for that.
I am hoping that the medicine, the devices, the etc. that I use.
And you also know not to
not have
drink
hot chocolate.
Heavy hot chocolate immediately after getting out of the so just keep an empty stomach and eat afterward.
That was a tough boat ride though.
Yeah.
That was a tough boat ride. But
Yeah.
I am most looking forward to that because my memory of shark cage diving is me shark cage diving, not doing anything else, and then being on the van back to Cape Town.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Yeah.
A lot of closed eyes.
Meanwhile, I got to go in.
You
got
got to go twice.
Well, because you were violently ill, and I was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And you're like, "Yeah." And they were asking if anyone wanted to go in again, and I was like,
100% you should do that.
Well, I was like, "Is this okay if I leave you for a little bit?" And you're like, "It's fine. I'm just vomiting over the boat." No.
If anything, I'm chumming the waters. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah. Oh, gross.
The other thing that I'm really looking forward to, and this is going to make me sound like a snob, and I hate it. I'm looking forward to the wineries.
I'm actually really looking forward to that. Once I heard about the Franschhoek wine tram, I was like, that sounds adorable, and I need to experience that.
I'm looking forward to the wineries because, and I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I've kind of dedicated a bit of my time to education in the wine field. And I'm just looking forward to going back with a different lens, I guess.
Yeah. It's kind of like when in 2021, I went back to Annecy and the Savoie region of France. And I lived in Grenoble, which was not very far from that. And in my early 20s, I didn't drink wine. I didn't know much about wine or anything. So I didn't know what such a great area I was in for wine and things like that. And then I went back and did a wine tour, and that was really cool to learn more about it because I didn't know anything. I also didn't know how amazing the area I lived in was and all the cool things to do other than the couple times I went skiing. There's lots of lakes and mountain lakes and hiking and gorges, and I just did not take advantage of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Number 5.
Okay.
And this is, I don't want to say a petty, but how are you approaching souvenirs going back?
Well, we have 2 nephews that we've since had. And I remember the first time
we have since had.
Well, we haven't had.
That have since been blessed upon the family.
Yes.
We have witnessed them being had.
Well, we didn't witness them being had, but we have seen them and spent a lot of time with them since they've been born. And the first time we went in 2017, my David, the oldest nephew, who is now almost 7,
was not born.
I can't believe it. He wasn't born yet. Or no, he was a baby.
Was he? Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
he was
a baby. He was
4
almost
months old. Yeah.
Almost
You're right.
1.
No, he wasn't.
We went in September. No, he was 1. He was born in 2016. No, he was only a few weeks old. And my sister...
A few weeks?
No,
he was
wait.
born in May.
He was born in 2016. Never mind.
We're going to have to cut this out.
No, this is terrible. Okay, so the oldest nephew was already born. And then my sister was pregnant with her first child. So we bought them cute little giraffe animals little stuffed animals. And that started our tradition of whenever we go to fun, exciting new places, we buy them a little stuffed animal from an animal from there. Like we got them sloths in Costa Rica. We bought them
llamas in Peru, elephants in Thailand.
Yeah, we this is kind of a tradition we've started for them. And so they have like a little shelf of all their things. And the two youngest boys, we got to get it for them now. We got to get them their own giraffes.
Alternative perspective, they arrived a little late.
No, I want to
They
get
have passed up their opportunities?
No.
No.
Oh, yeah, when we went to the Christmas markets, we even bought like little teddy bears for
Little
them
bears,
too.
yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited to get little giraffes for them. And I would like to maybe get some small artwork because again, we don't need the beaded animals. We have so many beaded wire animals that we bought last time. But also there's only so much we can take on our carry-on backpacks.
Yeah.
Going. But I think maybe a piece of art if we can. Yeah.
Agreed.
What about you?
So my approach here, I'm looking around the room right now and we have an elephant that we bought at one of the markets during our Cape Town City tour. And we also have a smaller elephant that we bought from my grandma, who has since passed, and we got that back. And it's the beaded animals, right? So I agree with you that like I'm not necessarily itching for like another beaded animal. When you say a small artwork, your boy was in minimalism mode the last time that we traveled to South Africa.
That's true. You were very like, let's get rid of all of our things and keep this house very minimal. And I'm a very much maximalist person.
I have adopted that.
I love
put it everywhere on the wall.
I really enjoy like having lots of artwork and things like hanging up on the wall. And I like it because for me, it's like, I don't know, maybe my brain's just a little chaotic and I'm just like, this is fun to have everything on the walls. Like I hate bare walls.
It makes me happy.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So let's do that. That is my approach to souvenirs though. Like I still want something to remember this trip by, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something that like would also, I don't know.
We can find more of the bowls, kind of like what we got in Uganda. Those were cool. The straw bowls.
I definitely want something to differentiate this trip from our prior trip. All right. Last question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts prior to arrival?
Ooh, such a good one. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to say my expectations are high because like, I mean, they kind of are because we had such a great experience last time, but Simbavati, super pumped to go back. Beautiful game reserve. Knowing what I know now, like 100%, I'm so happy we're going and booking it again. So very excited for that. Cape Town, we're staying in the same place we stayed in Cape Town. So that's like my thoughts prior to arrival is kind of, we're staying near the waterfront. There's lots of things to do there. I'm excited what's going to be there next because things change obviously over time. I have a picture in my head of what I think this like rustic like wine tram thing is going to look like. And I'm very excited to see what it ends up looking like and being like and how crowded it might be.
How are you picturing it?
I kind of pictured as like this open air double decker thing, but I don't know if that's because of the videos. I don't know. But I hope it's as cute as I think it is in my head. And then it's like stops right at these wineries. But I'm also picturing the Franschhoek because we're staying in Franschhoek for 2 nights. And it is a beautiful mountainous part of the winelands. And I'm so excited for that, to wake up in our little cottages with the Franschhoek Mountains in the background and vineyards nearby because we're like in the middle of it all. Yeah, and I've never been to Victoria Falls, so I'm just picturing thunderous, beautiful waterfalls and cruising along the lower Zambezi. But a lot of beauty, a lot of fun, some good wine, good food, great wildlife. That's what I'm expecting going in. My thoughts prior. What about you?
My thoughts prior to arrival, I am looking back on these. So a little bit of context. You ran some errands today. I stayed behind. I was looking through our photos more, and I am looking at a wide-eyed puppy dog going to South Africa.
We even look younger.
Right.
We've aged in the last 6 years.
I mean, 3 words to describe me: near total ignorance. And like, I'm just looking forward to going back with like a little bit of context. Not to get like super philosophical or anything, but like, I think it'll just be neat, right? Like, I'm not a person who is visiting a place. I'm a person who's going to experience a place again, right? And like compare it to past experiences, which I think if anything, this trip is going to be a heightened trip from last time. I'm incredibly thankful for the safari experience that we had. That was one of my thoughts. The fact that I was just like, oh yeah, Big Five, got it, check, whatever, rhino. Like, we have not seen a rhino for 6 years
in the wild. Yeah,
isn't that incredible? Like,
we were very
that
lucky
is incredible
to see the Big Five. Like last time we went.
Yeah. And so like that is another thing. I remember you and I were also on the way home from Louisville listening to our Cape Town podcast, and I was like, you know what? Like, thoughts prior to arrival in Cape Town, like, I was bummed. Like, I wanted to, like, my big thing to go to South Africa was like for the animals. Cape Town is such an amazing city.
Such a cool city.
So vibrant. Like, and I'm like, you know what? I get it. Right? Like, my big reason to go to South Africa was for safari. Right? So obviously I was going to be sad, but like, I am so freaking excited to go back to South Africa and go back to Cape Town.
I'm most excited, honestly. Like, I feel like, because I had this experience where, like, when we went to the Christmas markets with your family, you had also never been to those parts of Europe before. I think you'd only been to Paris before that, right?
Yes.
Earlier that year.
Yeah.
It is so fun, again, like going to a place that you've been to before and showing other people around and being like, hey, these are fond memories that I've had, and like seeing them also experience it, but also experiencing new things together. It was so much fun doing that with your family that when my parents wanted to come to South Africa, I was like, absolutely 100%. Like, I'm so excited for you guys to experience this for the first time and us to like essentially watch you experience this for the first time. Like, that is what I'm really excited for. Yeah,
100%. Like, in my notes, I have in all caps, can't wait to experience this. Right? With your folks. I just feel like we're more confident travelers now. We know what to expect. There's more of a sense of like experience rather than just like dipping a toe in on a return trip. The one question I have, and we've kind of
the 5 you've already asked.
We've kind of touched upon this outside of like the different set questions in the episode. Is some of the wonder gone?
I think a little bit because we've already seen and experienced some of it before for the first time, but I feel like it's still there a little bit. Like, there's still more that we're experiencing. We're still potentially going on a safari drive in Zimbabwe and cruising along this lower Zambezi.
So bring it back to South Africa.
Okay. So I was like, the whole Zimbabwe part is going to be completely new to us. But still, the wine tram, I think going back on safari and experiencing it again. I feel like, yes, you can't go back and it's not going to be the exact same as the first time where we're all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I'm still very excited.
100%.
Yeah.
Is some of the wonder gone? Yes. Can I picture the airport? Yes. Can I picture the customs? Yes. Right? Like, can I picture the hotel and the accommodations? Yes. But there's also, I mean, life.
But I'm looking forward to it. There's something familiar about it that's also very fun.
100%. Yeah. And like life in general is just like, if you go home, you're not going to have the same experience that you have ever had going home before. Right? And that's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's what life is. That's what travel is. And is some of the wonder gone? You can picture yourself there, but you can't picture yourself having the experiences that you will have when you are there. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for allowing us to go on and on for almost an hour here talking about reminiscing and explaining, can you go back and our approach returning to a new place. But let us know your thoughts if you guys experience this sort of thing before you're going back to a new place, how you feel about it, that sort of thing. You can always reach out to us on Twitter at WWHoneymoon, Instagram at Worldwide Honeymoon, or you can email kat@worldwidehoneymoon.com. But thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to rate and review our podcast. It takes less than a few minutes and really helps other people find us. Also, if you're enjoying this awesome free information on both the blog and podcast, when you're booking your next trip, head over to worldwidehoneymoon.com/resources and use the links provided. We earn a small commission at no cost to you when you book through these links, and these are all brands and companies we know, love, and use, like Skyscanner for finding the best flight prices, World Nomads for the best travel insurance, TripAdvisor for hotel bookings and reviews, and even Amazon for all of your travel purchases.
Thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Wherever you are, wherever you go, remember to make every day a worldwide honeymoon.